Welcome, everyone. My name is Jeff St. Laurent, and if you haven't noticed already, you're going to. I've got a great client of mine who I'm going to bring on in just a minute. But first, I do record all of my Tuesday live shows. I put them on my website, sellingcoaching.com. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. You can get a lot of great resources at my website in the university. If you want to start off, you can go right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com. You can enter your name and email address. That's going to get you my audio resource called Launching Your Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. And that's also going to put you in my email community so you can get some great information from me on a weekly basis. And if you want a great place to start as well, I have a great 14-day GoPro challenge, which is how I met Dave in the first place. And so if you want to check out when we're going to be doing the next challenge, visit GoProChallenge.com. You can learn more all about it when we're doing the next one, and you can even register right there. But with that being said, I'm very excited to have Dave Friedman on the line today with us. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Pleasure.
Yeah. So I was talking with Dave in our pre-going live, and I told him, a few things. We worked together. He started off with my 14-day GoPro challenge. And this was last year, middle of last year, actually early last year in April. And then he decided to continue on with my 5-month GoProElite program. So we'll get into the conversation of all the details of why I really wanted you here. But first off, Dave, tell everyone kind of where you were at in your business, when you started to go through the GoPro challenge, and then when you decided to, continue on with the 5 months. Just give the coaches watching and listening a snapshot of kind of where you were when you started off with me.
I actually had just started. I'm an IPEC grad. That's where I met Jeff, floating down from the heavens. Let me help you. I said, okay. So we had run across a time that was weird in our society, as everybody knows, when you really couldn't go out and meet people. So what a great idea to have a system in place that we could go out and market ourselves. And Jeff was the guy to show us the way. So I signed up. And you know what? He did.
I love it, man. So starting from scratch, yeah. I want to do this coaching thing, but I need help doing it, bottom line, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So with your coaching business, obviously you need to create some space for that. You had a business of your own, which was obviously your livelihood at that point. And as we got into the challenge, not into the 5-month program, we were going through some of the baseline structures and systems, and talk through kind of what you felt your biggest challenge was, if you will, the balancing act between, all right, now I got to do all this stuff Jeff's telling me to do. But I still got all this other stuff I've got to do in my real life. Talk about that challenge, because I know a lot of coaches that I work with and that are in general, they still have full-time businesses or jobs and families and whatever else. So just talk about that challenge you had.
I feel like I'm being pulled to the coaching industry. I'm being pulled to go do this as a coach. That made it easier for me to find more time, whatever time I had available, to actually put towards this business. Yeah, I have a full-time business. I'm managing a couple of guys. I've got scheduling and payroll and everything. I'm doing that. It's just a one-man show. And I'm very blessed to have been doing that for a while. But then coaching came. And this is really something I'm called to do. So you make time for it. And I'm going to sound like Jeff now, but you have to be consistent, and it doesn't even matter what you do to be consistent. Once a week, once a month, every other day, just scare up 5, 10, 15 minutes and move yourself forward in the process. It's the old journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Yeah. So Dave, for you though, how did you get yourself to do that? Right. Because I remember the conversations. You're like, Jeff, I need you to kick my butt, and it was just like, there were just some logistical pieces to your day that sometimes were impossible for you to do things because you were on call, your jobs, it was a busy season. You had to manage your business, how did you get to that spot where you started, let's say, as an example, emailing your audience every week, doing your Thursday thoughts, live broadcast every week? How did you get to that spot where you had that own, the journey of the 1,000 miles? How was your first step? What was the mindset shift that helped you get there?
It was a mind step is what it was. It was being coached to go out there and do that. And again, it's a nebulous internal kind of a thing, but the desire to be a full-time coach meant, and I remember saying this, I'm willing to get uncomfortable. I'm willing to go out there, scare out this extra time to do what it is that's going to get me where I want to go so that I can do and be what it is that I'd like to do and be.
So really, in a lot of ways, it was sheer will. It was sheer, like, I've got this passion. I signed up for this program. I've got this passion. I'll be damned if I'm just not going to do it.
It's a weird kind of an under thing too. I appreciated the system. I appreciated the support, the group. It's a funny thing. It's almost like we need, as much as we like to be solopreneurs and take care of everything ourselves, I find a lot of people like to have that accountability. So we signed up. I signed up knowing for a fact that I was going to have someone hold me accountable. So that also, it kept me accountable. It helped to mitigate the nervousness a little bit, and I'll do it later. Well, no, Dad's going to yell at me if I don't do this, so I better get that done, kind of thing.
Nice. So you continued on. You started your weekly emails, your weekly show. You call it what? Your Monday Musings?
Monday Musings is my email.
Yep.
And I do something called Thursday Thoughts, which is a live, well, sort of live, Facebook thing.
Yeah. And when you started that off, talk about just what was going through your mind in terms of like, oh my God, I've got to write. I've got to do this live video.
Oh yeah. That was crazy. I got to do it. Now I like to do it. But yeah, I got to do it at the time because, I was trusting the process. The process is consistency. The process is putting out something. And then another process is, what are you going to write about? What are you going to talk about? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But whatever came to me, I went with it, knowing that that's me, that that's authentic. I'm just going to put it out there. It's just a couple of 3 minutes. It's funny because working with you, Jeff, it's funny because I was talking about, I can't do this video because my background or my hair. And you said, look at me, you're in the middle of COVID hair, And so after a while, it just got to be a little bit easier. It doesn't take as much time as it did. And somehow just being aware, watching life, there's always something to talk about. More importantly, something to share.
Yeah, it's so true. And I got to tell you, man, when you started doing those things, like I think we all have a version of ourselves. And when we start to see or read or listen and watch what we start to produce, I think there's this thing like, oh my God, I'm horrible. Or what am I doing? And I remember seeing your first live video, your Thursday Thoughts. And I'm like, dude, this guy's good. Like, I love your sense of humor, a very unique sense of humor, but also you held a space. That's the only way I can describe it. You hold this space and is a very trusting, vulnerable space where you go, and you could tell it's not scripted or planned, or like you obviously you start off with an idea, but you just hold this space and it's almost like suspended in the air, and you really just speak truth. It's really cool. And I've seen you evolve, because obviously I don't watch all of your videos that you do, but I'm subscribed to your email. I'm subscribed and follow you on Facebook and things like that. And all of a sudden I'll always go on Facebook and it's like, there's Dave, there's Dave, and every now and then I'll just listen to a few minutes here and there. And it's the evolution of you just being consistent with it, but trusting that space. What have you learned for yourself, and even with the evolution of your business, by doing the consistent emails and those shows?
It's a funny thing because what I went through is, I don't know, what do I have to offer? Mm-hmm. What I've learned is I've got something to offer, that I'm just being me. I'm not trying to do anything else or be anybody else. I'm just putting myself out there, And based on the feedback, I appreciate what you said, Jeff. I've heard that from maybe 2 or 3 other people over the year. But people respond, and it's a beautiful thing. It makes me feel good. It makes me know that I'm on the right path.
So really, you not knowing your value or not believing you had value.
Right.
And now I have value. And
Well
you believe you have value.
Let me write that down. I have value. Okay, thank you.
That's huge.
No, it really is.
I think that's a big piece. No, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, and you do a really nice job of seeing that and mimicking that. I mean, mirroring that and helping us, your students, if you will, to realize that and maybe to see it a little bit earlier in the journey. Because hopefully we all come around to the point where what we're doing is real and people do appreciate it. They want it. They kind of need it. And I feel very, blessed and honored that I got something that helps people out. And so I appreciate the system that urged me to go ahead and put this out there, because at the end of the day, all we're doing is serving.
That's what it is. Yeah. And now we have a structure that with which you can start to serve people.
Yes.
And a big evolution. And this is for a lot of coaches. That's why I want coaches to listen to this, is exactly what you went through, Dave, is that we start off and we don't believe in what we have as value. We don't believe that what we're doing is valuable, or maybe we can't see it yet.
Right.
And just by starting to, in some ways, the system forces you in the beginning. Like, what did you say earlier? I have to do it. Now I want to do it. Yeah.
It was an interesting thought that just came to me too. And now it came and it's gone. But it is something that we want to do. It's something that we have to do. And we're here for a purpose. And that's to have this value. And it did build up over time. And it's interesting that we don't accept that of ourselves. Mm-hmm. I guess that's one of the biggest lessons, is to know that. Own it.
And actually, that's the biggest aspect to being in business for ourselves, no matter what we do, is we've got to understand the value we bring to the market.
Yes.
And we've got to believe that. We got to understand it. And that helps us market and communicating our words or whatever, but then understanding it so we can believe in it as well.
And own it.
And own it, yeah.
It is who we are.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. So now you're in a position where, as we were speaking before, you're not your coaching business, but your other business, you're looking to sell it. And you're looking to talk about your vision of why you're doing that and where you want to go and how coaching plays a role in your future.
I've been very fortunate to have my own business for almost a dozen years now. And it's been very good to me. And a couple of years ago, I started getting pulled to something else, and I didn't know what that was. But through a process, and I'm happy to share, I don't know if we have time today, some other time, I ran into coaching, or coaching found me, if you will. And when that happened, I had my next path. It was so right. I didn't have a choice, really. So I went with it. And in that process, it's now time to pass my business off to somebody else. It's a viable service business. And I'm very happy that the guys I've been working with are looking to buy it. And then they're going to take it and continue to run that. And I'm going to go full time and do coaching. It's a very powerful way to live. It's a very in charge of my own life. As a service business, I'm always kind of at the effect of everybody else's problems. So it's another way. It's a way that I'm actually taking control of my own life and doing what I'm being told to do, which is to help others.
Yeah. And I love the fact when we were talking prior to this, we were talking about that because I wanted to understand where you're going with that. And you're like, yeah, I want to do coaching full time, but there was something you said in there that really stuck out for me. Was the way you were talking about your coaching business. There was a level of confidence and belief in yourself that I hadn't heard from you, because we haven't spoke actually in call it 5-6 months, since we finished the 5-month program. We've had a few, email interactions, social media comments here and there, right? But we actually haven't spoke until today. But so you had a sense of confidence and belief in yourself around your success in your business that you will create that I hadn't heard prior to that.
Cool.
Talk about that a little bit, and where do you feel that's come from?
Well, I have a theory. Actually, as you get to know me, you'll find I have a lot of theories. But you can know something, and then you can believe something, but there's another level of owning that comes with putting in the time to doing it. I believe that I can do this, but there's a certain kind of a confidence and an air of ease around that comes when I've done this thing for a while. It's almost like when you run into somebody that knows exactly what they're doing, they don't have to tell you that because they just know. And I guess that's what's happening over time, doing what you helped me lay out to do, sticking with it, a little bit here, a little bit there over time. That has really, it's like twice baked potatoes. I'm being baked now. Right? I'm ready. Yep.
That's so true, right? And I think that's where, that's everything. That's going to be everything for you, is having that confidence.
Yes.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this is really good, Dave. What do you think for you was the biggest value, obviously going through the challenge, but then the 5-month program? What do you think the biggest value for you has been as we went through that together, and even now how that's carried over into this space afterwards?
Understanding more about what I'm getting myself into. I just want to be a coach. Jeff says, no, you got to go find people to coach, right? and when you start off on something like that, that's just a small detail, but it's very, very important. Having systems in place, being consistent with the message. What is the message? That kind of stuff. And then creating these habits that I woke up the other morning and I hadn't done my musings email. There I am, 5 o'clock in the morning, making sure that thing gets out on time. So now it's not a drudgery. It's something you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
And so it is the consistency that stays out there. It's almost like I feel like I owe it to people to be consistent because I created this thing.
Yeah, it's like an obligation in some ways, right?
Yeah.
But it's a calling and an obligation, if you will, right? Yeah.
I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, which is very good. Yeah, Dave, I got to say, and I said this earlier, went on, but I think for you, what's impressed me the most about you is everyone has their own journey and what it looks like, in terms of how we go into coaching. And now you're probably seeing the value of knowing that this process takes years. Probably in my teachings, like I say, it takes years to do this thing. It's an evolution for everybody. But what I've seen with you is that evolution of, all right, I want this. I'm here. I need to do that. I need help. And then just coming around to all right, now I'm finding a rhythm for what I'm doing. And then part of it still, you're just in the beginning, you go through the motions. It's because I've got to do this. But now you've taken ownership of everything and have that belief. And so I'm just excited to kind of see where that's going to take you over the years.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah. What you say, appreciate you. You're the one who took the snowball and started rolling it down the hill. Yeah. It's funny. So I'm thinking about it. So I did like this, and I'm good. And now all of a sudden I don't know so much anymore. Okay, so I got to learn a little bit, get up a little bit higher, right? I'll be there for a while and it's like, I don't know anything. Let's just go up a little higher. It is. It's a constant process. Just like life, like this.